Welcome everyone to our webinar about the character voice guide. This webinar is going to be a little bit different, a little bit more of a conversation than a presentation on my end. No slideshows, I just have some notes to go over. And the context is kind of important as far as the direction that Positron is moving right now. So the first piece of technology that we had was the proofing tool, and that was to help find and report misreads. And then the next big ask that we had from the community was the pronunciation guide. And that was to avoid misreads in the first place. But this character voice guide, this is kind of a shift. This is different because this is a performance tool. This is something where either as an individual, as a team, you can come in and the decisions that you make about your character voices, they can change how you're actually going to perform the book. And we hope that's a positive thing, like your collaborative tool and your reference tool is something that you can use to make your project better. You're not just looking at misreads and finding misreads, but this is actually part of the audiobook production suite that Positron wants to put together to get the ideas and the vision all in the same place before you even get started. So it's part of the script prep idea, but we want to help people organize their vision of what's going on. And something that we found is that everyone has a different way of collecting and organizing what they have. And thank you very much to the people who have given us prep scripts and their processes for getting ready, because that's pretty much what we brought together collectively in this character voice guide that we've developed. And we duplicated the code of the pronunciation guide and then tried to split it up into how people requested that a character voice guide would work. So what you see right now, and it has been available since Monday, is not what it's going to look like eventually, but the idea is there to really be able to place your ideas and find out what to ask us for. So with the character voice guide, there's three things that we're trying to do. We logically and rationally want it to make sense to you. It has to be clear what you're going to the guide to do, and it has to be clear what to do once you're there. It's not necessarily quite there yet. And when you see Adam do his presentation, you'll see kind of the early stages, but please, the more feedback, the better. The second thing, we really want to make it feel comfortable to use it, whether you're on an iPad or a tablet or a browser or however you use your computer. We want the design to be comfortable and not frustrating. So feel free to comment about graphics, placement, real estate on your screen, all of those things. And the third thing we want to do is make it really easy to try. So currently when you're on your main project page, all you have to do is hit the character voice guide button and it's bright green. Who picked that color, by the way? Was that Ramon?
No, I think that might have been from my very first mock-up. It was just one of the first paint fill options that I came across.
So it is big and bright green, and it will take you to the character voice guide for you to try out. And we want to make it really easy to fit into your workflow. We have had a couple demos with it so far that we've gone over with people one-on-one. And to kind of give you an idea of the style of feedback we get, one of the first people said, why would I ever hit this button in this part of the option? And then the next person we talked to said, why would I ever do this other thing? So everybody is approaching this from different directions. And whether you want to upload information or re-record or how you organize, just let us know. So the feedback that we want to get, the phrases that I have written down, and David especially, you can pass this on to your people, is a statement that goes, this would be great if. So as you try it out, the first thing that comes into mind, like, oh, this part isn't working for me, or this is slower than I want it, or I'd need this extra thing added to make it valuable. That's the kind of statement that we want. So this would be great if, or this only has value to me if, or this will only be better than what I already do if. So if everyone that comes to this webinar sends us one statement like that, we can really get a good idea of what people are looking for and start giving it to developers to find out how to match your needs in with our structure. There is an interesting piece of collaboration that people are 50-50 about so far. And that was one piece of advice or a comment said, it would be great if an author could type in notes or approve all of the voices before you got started. And I know this is super, super fishy territory because some narrators want to explore the ideas of the characters on their own, and others are more interested in direction. So you don't have to use any of the tools that Positron brings out. It's just an option. You don't ever have to tell an author that this is possible. But if you upload a script and in the first 15 minutes that you're going to turn in eventually, only 3 of the voices out of the 20 are going to be in there, and you get that first 15 approved, there have been lots and lots of cases where eventually the rights holder says, oh, I really didn't like what you did with so-and-so's voice. And you see the Facebook conversation all the time. Well, if they approve the first 15, that means the rest of the story is up to you. With the character voice guide, yes, David said it assumes that the author is available and interested in being involved in the process. Very, very much. But this is just, it's opening up the idea that you can collaborate more on the author. And, you know, on high-end projects where the author isn't involved at all, this is not going to be a thing, but especially in the ACX community, this opens up a door that wasn't here before and can prevent some really frustrating disasters later. Yeah, so that's really kind of the context behind this. And Adam's going to show you what it looks like, and we're going to see if it breaks in real time on the screen. Anybody that wants to follow along and test it, we said that it's up for beta. I would suggest not relying on this system. Like if you're in the middle of a project and say, this is amazing and I need it right now, things come and go and sometimes names don't get picked up. It works about the same as the pronunciation guide. There are still some things that are different. So give us some time to iron things out, but explore the possibilities. It's free, and please talk to us as much as you can about the things that you would like to see. So go ahead and take it on, Adam.
All right, here we go. Hopefully this screen share works just fine. You should be able to see my projects page. All right, so we're going to do the Jungle Book today, and we chose the Jungle Book for a couple of reasons. One, I have small children, so I've seen the Jungle Book 270 times. Two, for the most part, many people have seen it, so they'll be somewhat familiar characters. And we did choose the book that is in the public domain, not any of the Disney movies or anything like that. So once you go into your project, all you need to have done is upload your PDF or your PDF or Word or whatever form of manuscript. Then you're going to click on this nice greenish blue, let's call it turquoise or teal maybe, character voice buttons. You can see a nice big notice up here saying this is a beta release. It is a new feature. There will likely be some bugs. There will likely be a whole bunch of new opportunities to improve the feature with your feedback. If anyone would like to book a meeting with us, click this book a meeting link, and that'll give you an opportunity to book a 30-minute meeting with Ryan and I to give positive, negative feedback, whatever you'd like, or you can just shoot us an email at hello@positron.com. I'm going to get rid of this for now. Once you've actually done uploading your script, you click, just like the pronunciation guide, you're going to click this open suggestions button. And what this does, this scans your text, your manuscript, and gives you an output of every single character name our system has found. Now we use a certain library that allows our system to parse what is a character name versus another proper noun. You will see it is not perfect as of right now. And you can see here, for example, black, it was Bagheera, the Black Panther, also big for a character named Big One or Big Tumai. So it's not perfect yet, but we are working on it. For the purpose of today, I'm going to add 5 characters. We're going to start with Mowgli, Bagheera, Baloo, Shere Khan, and Akela. So assuming that you have gone through your entire list, we're just going to go through these first 5. It'll show everything you need to do. Very similar to the character voice guide. If there is something that you want to ignore, for example, best here, you can click ignore, and then that gets removed from your list. If you ever have a character you accidentally ignore, click on ignored characters, and that will show you all the ones that you have either added to your list or ignored previously. Once you've gone through your entire list, there are there's 5 different areas that you can enter information. This first column here is obviously the character name. When you hover over this magnifying glass, it'll give you the first 5 mentions of that character in the book to give you a little bit of context. You can do it with any of them. For example, Bagheera here. This is where you record the character's name. If the character's name is found in one of the pronunciation dictionaries, and I just realized actually that I need to make sure I'm sharing my sound. Apologies. I need to redo that. Share sound. There we go. If it is automatically found in your default pronunciation dictionary, I will show everyone after this how to change your default pronunciation dictionary. It'll show up here just like it does in the pronunciation guide. So Aquila, here we go.
Arcala.
So Aquila, I believe, is the head of the wolf pack. Question from Esther. How do you get the selected names to list on the right size? Mine always sits on top, like I don't like. I can answer that for you. So Esther, this is based on your screen size. So if you have your screen size small, it will show up above and below. If you maximize the size of your screen, it'll show up this way. If you do have this is a 15-inch laptop, and I have it at a fairly high resolution. If you do show it side by side, you should be able to zoom out and it'll go side by side. So it does make it very small, but really the answer to that question, Esther, is you need a bigger screen, or you can zoom out and it'll show side by side. Hopefully that helps. So once you're in your character voice guide, I'm going to start with Mowgli. So we've already seen, I caught when I was prepping for this, one thing that we've missed that we want to add in, and that's the ability to do a phonetic search of the name Mowgli in pronunciation dictionaries. And to do that, I'm going to show you what we are going to do. So I'm going to go to pronunciation guide here, add Mowgli, and click on our good friends at onelook.com. If anyone hasn't used this, especially for character names, it's a really, really effective tool because it gives you links to a whole bunch of different tools. Here it's only showing 4, but this in some cases will give you literally 30 different opportunities to find a pronunciation. So I am going to go to Mowgli from the film here. No, wrong one. My apologies. I'm going to go to Mowgli here in Wikipedia because I do know that it has this phonetic pronunciation, and I'm going to copy and paste Mowgli and throw it right in there for the name phonetics. And there's a bug because Mowgli just disappeared. Super. All right. So once you've done that, you can, just like the pronunciation guide, you can click here, click record, Mowgli, Mowgli, click save, and play that back. Mowgli, Mowgli. This column here shows you the count. The page number is the page where this character first appears. The count is how many times in the entire manuscript that appears. If you do want to sort instead of by number of occurrences, which we did make the default because by definition, in theory, the most mentioned character is going to be the protagonist. You can also sort by first occurrence, or who occurs first in the book, and then alphabetically as well. Once you get over to here, this is designed to be your character description. So this is going to be notes about the character's personality or the character's state of mind or anything that will inform your performance of that character. In this case, I am just going to copy and paste from what I had previously drafted. And for Mowgli, we have a feral boy raised by wolves who is resistant to rules and oversight, wants freedom and fun above all else, and fearless. The next column here is going to be character voice notes. That's where you're going to put in anything you want about the character's accent, dialect, even their vocal pitch or anything like that. How you're going to perform that character's voice. We had one person say he would actually start using this for what shapes of his face he's going to make for that character, or whether he needs to make, hunch over his body to perform that character's voice. So really, the world's your oyster here. You can put in whatever you want that'll help you perform that character in the best possible way. In this case, for our friend Mowgli, I'm going to put in young boy's high-pitched voice, defiant and uncoachable. So again, you can put whatever you want in there. I don't actually have an idea of how many characters max, but you can put in each, but it's about just a little bit more than what you see here. So it's generally about 3 sentences you can fit. If you do feel you need more room than that, please send us a message, because we'd be happy to, we'd obviously be happy to change that as you will. Now, instead of subjecting you all to me trying to pretend to do Mowgli's voice, if anyone would like to, over Zoom, voice our friend Mowgli here, please shoot a quick message into the chat. Otherwise, you're going to be subjected to my impression of Mowgli.
When we were talking about this earlier, we were just going to have Adam call on somebody. I don't know if anybody wants to raise their hand. Too funny.
I nominate James Romick. James, are you up for
it? Chris nominated James, who had a good point. Well, while we're talking about this, if everybody didn't see James's comment about collaboration being fine, but an author rights holder is not a professional director, that definitely is something that's going to come up in conversations. So I agree with you, James, and it's going to be an interesting conversation moving forward.
And it also doesn't mean you just have to send it to the author. You can send it to your director before and get his or her feedback on it as well.
Or publisher.
Really the goal is to collaborate as much as possible. All right, so no volunteers, so I am going to be forced to voice our friend Mowgli here. My name is Mowgli, and I just want to be a bear and live the bear necessities. I won't force you all to listen to that, but you can indeed press play and listen to that. So we're going to go into the next character here, and I'm going to show you a couple other pieces of tools here. So Bagheera, the panther, who is kind of like a parent to our friend Mowgli. I've previously searched this, but you can click Bagheera. I've actually put in 2 different types of phonetic pronunciation here, and you can also click record. Bagheera. You'll notice actually you can also, if you don't want to record it and you've already got that pronunciation from somewhere else, you can click this upload button and upload any audio file that will play the name. So if you've already done some of this work and you want to match it to a future project, just click this upload button. Again, I'm going to go through some of this for Bagheera. Bagheera, a black panther, who is, according to Wikipedia, actually a melanistic Indian leopard who serves as a friend, protector, and mentor to the man cub Mowgli. And in terms of his character voice notes, there you go. You could also put in, I had, for example, one of the samples we got, someone said that the character should be like the team owner in Ted Lasso, if anyone's ever owned that, or anyone's ever watched that. Gives you an idea of, really, you can put anything in there that will inform your performance. And in this case, because, good question, Sherry, I'm going to get to this in 1 second. So if you want to edit the character's speech, in this case, we've taken a snippet from one of the LibriVox open source recordings here. This will actually show you, I'm going to show Bagheera's here. This will actually show you where the narrator actually didn't do any character voice at all, but here we go.
What is this new folly, little dreamer of dreams, said Bagheera.
So there you go. You can, if you've already, for example, say you're doing a new project and you've already done a couple titles previous to this, in the series, this is where you can take, a lot of people are doing this in a DAW and saving it in a Dropbox folder or anything like that. You can take that snippet and upload it here and use it for future projects. Sherry Nightingale's question was, will it upload from the corresponding pronunciation guide? Not currently. However, one of the pieces of feedback we've already gotten. One of the pieces of feedback we've already gotten is the ability to transfer a word from a character voice guide to the pronunciation guide. Or for example, if all of these are in your character guide and you haven't done any pronunciation work yet, there would be a way to transfer all of those into your pronunciation guide altogether. So we are working on that feature. The goal will be basically, we never want it to be if you automatically add something to the character voice guide, it automatically is added to the pronunciation guide. But there will be an easy, 1 or 2 click process to migrate them between those 2 tools within a certain project. We are also building in the functionality like we currently do in the pronunciation guide, where if for any of you who don't know, in the pronunciation research tool, if you click under the import export button here and click transfer research, this will actually allow you to transfer every bit of research you've done in the pronunciation guide and soon to be the character voice guide to any one of your other projects. So in this case, I could move it to any of these really. I will move it to a blank one just to show you. I can go to Hunchback of Notre Dame, click transfer. And in a few minutes, it will be in there. Suggestion from Chris. I like to group certain voices that show up together in multiple chapter scenes. It'd be nice to be able to create groups and have those names together. Really good idea, Chris. One of the things we have already discussed is the ability to do an ability to do a chapter summary where you can actually separate this by chapter and say in chapter 1, Mowgli is mentioned X number of times or speaks X number of times. So you can actually, if you're going chapter by chapter with your recording, you can prep in advance by pulling up that summary and say, oh, I need to familiarize myself with Mowgli, Bagheera, and Shere Khan in this chapter, because those are the three that all speak in chapter 6, for example. I'll show you a couple more things here. I'm going to
answer James Romick real quick too.
Yeah, of course.
He
I didn't see
said,
the question.
will there be a kind of PDF or some other kind of readout about the characteristics? So when you get to that point, that's definitely something that several people are going to be interested in. And I think it's still on studio staging, the Excel export.
Yeah, and I'm going to show that right now. I didn't actually see James's questions, but in next week's release, we will have built out this, which there will be an export button in your character voice guide and exports this Excel, which is all of the information you put in, obviously, other than the ability to play back your recordings. Shows you the character name, the first page they appear, count your phonetic pronunciations you've entered, your character notes, and your dialect notes. The reason that David can't see anything, because many people are sending us messages just to the hosts and panelists. So that's why, David. A couple other things. If you do want to share this, once you've done all of your pronunciation work, you can click on this online packet button. Share characters guide, click this little clipboard. And what you're going to see is this. So you send this link just like you would the shareable pickup packet or any of those others, and you send this to your director, your author. Oh, thank you, Jim. They are very cute kids when they're behaving. You can listen to anything you've recorded. Mowgli.
What is this new folly, little dreamer of dreams? Said Bagheera.
And this is, again, you're going to send this and you can either get on a quick Zoom call with your director, author, rights holder, whoever, get some feedback from them, or you can just go back and forth by email. Really, the idea is that it's an opportunity to collaborate. And as Ryan said, get some buy-in before you even start recording to prevent I really did not think Mowgli should have sounded that way. I need you to go re-record basically the entire book, or in this case, 231 pickups where Mowgli speaks. So really the opportunity to proper preparation prevents poor performance. This is the opportunity to use Positron to help prep in the same way you're already doing it, just much faster and more efficient. For many of you, one of the other questions we've gotten is, what happens if I use a prepper and they don't want to pay for anything in Positron? Well, right now, all you have to do currently is upload your manuscript. So there absolutely is no charge. We only charge as of right now for the upload of the manuscript of the audio file, and that's on a PFH basis. So right now there is absolutely no charge for this feature, our pronunciation guide, or any of our other preparatory tools. We are working towards, likely in October, starting to charge for each of these prep features on a per project basis. We haven't finalized our pricing, but it's looking like somewhere, based on what your proofing plan is, somewhere between $5 and $10 per project. So it's not going to be based on the number of items you add to your list or the number of pages or words in your manuscript. It's just going to be a flat fee just to do your project. So yeah, that's the plan there. Just want to be pretty clear and open about it for everyone that we will be monetizing this feature at some point. Good question from Eileen Smith. When we share the link for the character voices guide, are others able to edit without a Positron account or login? No. So if you share this here, which is that online packet button that I just clicked right here, all that is essentially a read-only document. You can see I cannot click here. I cannot do anything to change it. If you do want to have someone collaborate on the project, say you've got a multi-narrator plan, a multi-narrator book where you're going to be working on a bunch of things, the way you do that is you go into your main project, click share. I'm going to share this with my good friend Ryan at positron.com. And then here is where you can say, I actually only want this person. So view and edit means they can do absolutely everything in your project. Proofing only means that they can only actually play your audio in the proofing tool and mark pickups and things like that. And research only means that they can only actually collaborate on the research project. So when Ryan opens this, assuming I had actually put audio in here, all he would be able to do is click on this character voice guide in the pronunciation page.
So
Question
just
from,
as an aside there, we are not opposed to adding or adjusting permissions. That's going to be a huge part of the enterprise features coming up. So eventually you'll be able to let anyone do any part of the process that you want. That's kind of down the road, but really good question, Eileen. And it will give the account holder a great deal of control over what happens.
Agreed. And just so everyone knows, from a charging perspective, whoever creates the project will be charged for that project. If you share it with anyone else, when we actually start obviously charging for these features, if I created it and shared it with Ryan, Ryan would not then be duplicate charged or anything like that.
No.
James Romick question, what about voices of real people? I'm doing one with a number of famous people whose voices are very recognizable, like searching for movie clips on YouTube or something. Good question, James. We've had this question request in our pronunciation guide previously, where people were hoping that, say I add Shere Khan here, for example, that we would have a searchable link to YouTube here. We are working on that. It is something that's been in our development queue for a while. The challenge is, well, there's a couple of challenges. Parsing to make sure that the YouTube results are legitimate and not some sort of clickbait or weird stuff on YouTube is a challenge. That is one of them. We are working on it. I don't know if we will ever build it into the actual character voice guide, but it's certainly something that we'll talk about with our devs, how we would make that work. We are planning on putting the little clickable link to onelook.com, which is going to be the first thing that we offer right here between the basically between the character name and the count. But that is a good suggestion, and I'm going to mark it down on our list.
So we realize this is a lot of information as well, and we are very likely to change things on a week-to-week basis. So that's why we'd really like to get people to try and break stuff as soon and as much as we can. Could we upload the clip if we have it? Sure,
James,
right?
Yeah, assuming, well, you wouldn't be able to upload a video clip, but you would be able to extract the audio from a video clip and then just click here and upload here. So you just click this microphone, as I said, and click upload. I should say our terms of service prohibit people from putting data into Positron they do not own the rights to. So that if you do that, that's not, we've asked you not to in our terms of service. However, prep in a way that makes sense for you.
Capture system audio. Yeah, Alexi says that as well.
Yeah, so James, really, if you find a way to capture a clip from something, as long as it's just an audio file, you can upload it in there, no problem. The maximum file size is, I believe, 15 seconds long. The upload recording length is 16 seconds, and the max upload file size is listed here as XX, which is a development mistake. I believe the number is, I can find out right now.
20, XX, 20.
I wish that was Roman numerals, but no, it was just a placeholder. I will find out right now. The maximum character upload limit is 512 kilobytes. So please play around with that. Yes, James, no problem at all. As long as it's under 16 seconds long or 512 kilobytes, you can upload any audio file there. Does anyone else have any more questions?
Or if you're here, do you have anything else you would like to see beyond the character guide feature? Okay, Chris uses Safari. What do you want to tell people about Safari, Adam?
Yes, so Chris's comment is, I use Safari and really prefer to stay in that browser, but I know you recommend Chrome or Firefox. Is this feature also browser specific? So I can start by saying, though I am a PC user, the company has absolutely nothing against Safari. However, the way Apple works is they actually prevent people from making any changes to the browser. So Chrome on an Apple is actually just a reskinned version of Safari. So we basically, all of those limitations we found, the reason why we mark that note saying we recommend Chrome or Firefox is not because we hold shares in Google or anything like that. It is simply because we are actually technically limited for what the problems that we can actually solve currently with Safari. We are working on it and always trying to make improvements, but there are just limitations technically. So there are some features, audio playback for one thing. There's a couple weird things that happen in Positron sometimes in Safari. And thus far, there's actually nothing we can do to solve them. So that is the reason why we recommend Chrome or Firefox. This feature is not browser specific. Most of it will work, but there may be some edge cases that create some weird behavior that we unfortunately just have no control over.
Yep, Rebecca Lee says that she hasn't had any trouble with Safari. If you work through Chrome or Firefox on the desktop especially, you'll see that some things work much better. They're cleaner and faster. So it's, yeah, that's just kind of, it is what it is until we tell Apple to change.
Ivwoma Hall from our friends at Learning Ally. And Ivwoma, I really hope I pronounced your name right. How does this handle whole point of view chapters, like for multi-part books? That is actually a question we had in one of our first demos that we had booked with one of our longtime narrator clients the other day. And he asked the exact same question. It's a very good question, and we are trying to figure out how we'd want to handle that. If you do have good ideas, please email them to hello@positron.com, because it is a pretty challenging technical problem, because in a perfect world, they would have some sort of highlight where it would say chapter 1 narrated by Joe, chapter 2 narrated by Susie, but we'd only actually be able to, at this point, know that for sure if the first 3 words or 4 words of the chapter were narrated by Joe. So we are trying to help that. That is something where we are looking at that chapter summary, that automated chapter summary tool. That is something we are trying to figure out how that would work, but we haven't gotten there yet. And
Alexi told us it's Ivoma, like diploma. So now we know.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Alexi. Does anyone else have any other questions? There was one more thing that I did mention that I would show, and that is how you can change your default pronunciation. So there's 2 places. If you're in the pronunciation research page, click on this Oxford button, and you can actually choose Oxford US, Oxford Great Britain, or Forvo. If you have done some, added a couple things already, so here I'll add Gutenberg and Kala. If you do, after you've added some things, then all of a sudden change it to Forvo, you can press this update research word button, and that will research it and give you the Forvo, your results in your new default. One thing to note, the API from Forvo does not return phonetic pronunciations like the Oxford one does, so we cannot automatically fill this in, but it does play the actual file. The other place you can do that is you can go into your user profile and go into research. And then choose this pronunciation dictionary. Also, just a reminder of this ignored research word field that we added. This, if you put a word in here, it means Positron will never suggest it as a word in your pronunciation guide. So if there's a word that constantly is suggested by Positron that you just categorically know how to pronounce, you add that in there. Question from Chris Brown: is there a way to change your reference source, change from Forvo to a different source? All right, well, I think I just answered that one. Again, we are limited currently to Forvo, Oxford, US, and Oxford, Great Britain. We would, and that's just based on their APIs being readily available and for us to develop with. Merriam-Webster is in our long-term plans, but thus far we have not been able to get what we need from the other side to finish that development. Any more questions? Anything else? We hope that this is a useful tool for all of you. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Marie. Nice addition to Positron, guys. Thank you very much. How does this help me with multiple bizarre sci-fi characters with weird names and pronunciations? Good question, Paul. So if it is, let's say it is a Star Wars book or something like that, if it is a book where there is existing IP out there, movies or TV shows or something like that, or other audiobook content, you would be able to go listen to those and then get the right pronunciations and record them themselves. If it is something, maybe an ACX project and it's a little more obscure, honestly, what I would recommend is you share the project with the author, and the author goes in and helps you with those pronunciations. Because, you know, an example, if it is something, a book that just doesn't have any other place you can pull it from other than reading the book, which probably doesn't solve your problem, really, I would say, not being an audiobook narrator myself, you'd probably go straight to the horse's mouth and just ask the author and collaborate with them, share the project with them, and have them fill some of the gaps for you. But the goal is, if you share that project, they can go in and record those phonetic pronunciations for you of the character's name, and then they're the best person to ask, would be my.
Yeah. And the other thing about that, Paul, is that if you get that answer early on in writing, basically by having it in Positron and saying, you know, author, rights holder, did you check this before I get started? And it's on that list and you link them to it and they said, yes, this is good, then there's absolutely no question later that something could be wrong. So it's a good kind of guarantee against a he said, she said later.
100%.
I don't like that word guarantee. I need a better word.
It is backup in case something.
There we go. There are no guarantees.
All right, well, I'm going to stop my screen sharing now so I can see Ryan's smiling face. If there's nothing else, we'll end the webinar here. Ryan will be putting this all together and sending it out pretty soon. I know he's got a day off tomorrow, so it might not be until early next week, but we'll be sending this out and we'll actually likely be posting this as well in the little message on top of the character voice guide, a link to this webinar as well, so people can get a quick demo. Well, it actually ended up being 35 minutes long, but get a demo of how to use the feature.
It's because everyone was so inquisitive.
Esther said, thank you for the upload feature. That will be helpful. You're welcome, Esther. Just so you know, that's also available in the pronunciation guide as well. So if you do have an upload of a pronunciation word in a audio file, you can use that upload feature as well.
Yep. That's as of Monday. So that was definitely requested.
Fairly new, yeah. Finally, we will be doing focus groups the week of August 30th to September 3rd. If you are interested, please send us an email to hello@positron.com. We will be reimbursing people with a couple free hours in Positron for their assistance. Really, that is just an opportunity to say, I like this, I hate that, or in Ryan's case, as he said, this would be very helpful.
Right.
So give us, I'm a big believer, as is the rest of the company, in constructively negative feedback, because it's the only way that we can really improve. So please, if you do have interest in joining those, shoot us an email to hello@positron.com. If you have any positive, negative, or otherwise feedback, also just email us as a team, or you can use the little link at the top of the character voice guide beta release warning to book a meeting with Ryan and I as well.
Yep, we're at a really nice juncture and we appreciate everything that's coming our way. And things are looking good for positive direction in messaging and development.
Absolutely. I should actually mention one more quick thing. And that is, in case you guys hadn't seen this as well, this is a relatively new feature. When you go into your pronunciation guide, once you've done your work, if you have uploaded a PDF script and you click marked script, that will upload a PDF, or sorry, export a PDF file with every single word in your pronunciation guide marked up, with a comment box for, and unfortunately I didn't fill this in. Yeah, there we go. And this will include, so for example, when you get to
I think we
Mowgli,
lost your screen. We're on the wrong shared screen.
well, that's not working properly. Anyways, it does give that marked up PDF. We are going to be building that functionality for the character voice guide as well, where you have any character you've added highlighted in a different color. Again, you can pull that into iAnnotate and do some of that work. Every time we can save you 5 minutes is more money in your pocket, as long as you believe
Super cool stuff.
minute of time is money. Thank you very much, everyone. I will stop rambling. Have a good rest of your day, and thanks for supporting Positron.
Cheers, everybody.